Welcome to our guide to what is on offer on the Vanguard website and the different funds that you can buy there.
We are not sponsored by Vanguard.
We wish we were.
We just like what they do, and we're not financial advisors, so this is not advice. Do your own research. We're going to just show you what we've discovered from their site. So today we're going to look at this what we offer tab. And by the way, the website you want to go to is vanguardinvestor.co.uk.
And you'll see the pull down menu. On the left is the different types of funds, from the full list to the life strategy, target retirement, all the different types of funds. In the middle, you've got the account types. So these are the types of accounts you can own those funds within. And on the right, you've got a few different options and transfer in, transfer out stuff. But we're going to focus on the fund types for this video.
Yes, over on this left-hand side. So let's look at life strategy funds to start with, because the full list of funds has all of these within them. These are kind of subsets of that full list. So let's start with life strategy.
So the life strategy fund allows you to split between bonds and equities in different amounts by 20%. Actually, there's 5 accounts.
Yeah,
20% equities, 40, 60, 80, and then 100% equities.
What do you think of these funds, Alan?
I hate them. I think they should be eradicated and moved on for several reasons. The first is, even though it says management type index, they are actually actively managed funds. It means stuff is being moved around without your knowledge. And you probably know the Donegan's opinion on actively managed funds.
Yeah, and it's a collection of funds, isn't it, as well?
It's a fund of funds.
Why confuse things? In my opinion, we just need one simple fund.
It also has a heavy home country bias. We don't believe you need bonds in the wealth building stage. And then people go, well, I'll go for the 100% equity one. Well, it has a heavy home country bias, it has a high cost ratio, and they're just not good funds. Stay away.
When Alan says home country bias, he means that they're heavily weighted towards the UK, more than you would expect in a sort of a global fund. The UK makes up about 4% of the fund, whereas in life strategy it's way more than that, and we don't think that is appropriate.
And this is what they actually put at the top, because they're trying to get you to buy these funds. So we say avoid completely. So let's go on to the next one, which is target retirement funds, which also sounds like a wonderful idea. We're going to do full videos explaining target retirement funds and life strategy funds shortly. But for now, a target retirement fund takes the age with which you want to retire, and then over time shifts between equities to bonds. So you can see if you're retiring around 2020, it's got you in 42% shares and 58% bonds. Has a fairly high cost, ongoing cost charge, the OCF, and these also suffer from very heavy home country bias.
Yeah. I'm going to do a full video all about those, so check that one out.
But the general thing is stay away from those. Like, just don't use them. And then that brings us on to index and active funds, which is where we find the 2 funds that we invest in as well.
So you're going to see that there's a massive long list of different funds, and they put the life strategy at the top because they think those are the ones that you should go for, and the
because
target.
Obviously you should trust them to do it, not do it yourself. So you can't be trusted.
Life strategy, target retirement, and then it comes down into lots of different other ones. And people say to us, I get really overwhelmed by this because there's
like
so
86
many
funds.
Yeah, so you can see we've got the 5 life strategy at the top. Then we have these sustainable life ones,
which is the ESG version of the life strategy ones. Also, just avoid.
Then the target retirement funds. I'm just going to whiz through those because there's one for every 5-year increment as to when you're going to retire.
Exactly.
Active UK, meaning someone is choosing which UK companies to invest in.
Do not go for actively managed funds. That is not an advice, that is an opinion. But I think, well, you will get underperformance, especially if you're picking one country.
And as I'm scanning down, what I'm interested in is the region. So it says emerging and the management type. So what I want is a global region and an index management type. So this is choosing just emerging markets, which is the countries that are more developing. So China, Brazil, India, those sort of up and coming economies. We've got ESG, which we'll talk about in just a sec. ESG, I'm going to ignore.
Should we stop and talk about ESG on the way down?
What does ESG stand for, Alan?
It stands for Environmental Social Governance, and basically it's the funds that choose what should be in there based on certain criteria of whether they are an ethical or good company. So to give you an example, out of the top 10 companies in the UK, 7 of them get removed. I know, the most profitable companies in the UK, and 7 of them get removed from the index.
That's because there's things like Diageo, which is
alcohol, alcohol is bad.
You've got Shell, which is obviously like fossil fuels.
HSBC,
yeah,
which is like a bank, but they've done naughty stuff apparently.
So in our opinion, ESG funds are stock picking because it's choosing it's choosing companies to remove from the fund. And that's someone's opinion as to what they should be as well. So and if you want to make a difference with, encouraging the planet to be sustainable, things to, ethically run companies, we believe that you have more power with your spending money than you do with your investing money. So if everyone was to boycott those companies, then they wouldn't do very well.
Exactly. So start a movement rather than invest differently.
So
we
you
go
can
down
see
that
how many
list.
different ESG ones there are. Now we've come on to Euro ones and bonds. So let's just keep going until we
investment
can
grade bonds.
spot. So now we're into UK.
FTSE 100, that's the 100 biggest companies in the UK. We would not do that because it is country picking. We don't country pick.
So we think it's best to invest in a global fund that's diversified across all countries, all companies, all industries.
So here's the first one we found. That's the FTSE All World High Dividend Yield UCITS ETF. It says global. Awesome. So it's global. It's an index, so it's not actively managed. Has 1,800 holdings. So, would that go, Katie? Would we go for that one?
Personally, no, because it's choosing companies that have a high dividend, which in itself is a criteria that means they're removing lots of other companies that don't have a high dividend. In our opinion, you should invest in all the possible companies that you can invest in around the world. And this is sort of not hand picking, but it's choosing some that they think should be in.
And it has a high ongoing charge of 0.29. So we scroll down again.
We're starting to get into it. So there's so this is a global fund. It's an index fund, and it's an ETF. So the difference between an ETF and an index fund is the way that it's traded. ETF stands for exchange traded fund. You can buy and sell it instantaneously because it's listed.
They're floated on the exchange.
Yeah, it's sort of one of the things that you can buy in the market. So we go with index funds because we're in it for the long term.
So we don't need to buy and sell quickly in general.
So we've
actually come across, this is the one we have nearly all of our money invested in.
That's Europe.
Oh no,
good spot. They're so similarly titled, aren't they?
That's the challenge.
Yeah. So actually,
region Europe.
Yeah, because there's another one which we'll come on to, which we'll show you, which is
there you go. It's right below it, so you can see how close that is. FTSE Developed Europe, FTSE Developed World. That one word difference makes all of the difference, because you go from having 472 companies in this fund to over 2,000 companies in this one. So it's far more diversified. So this here, FTSE Developed World ex-UK Equity Index Fund, is where nearly all of our own personal money is invested.
And people say, why ex-UK? Well, that's the fund that's offered, and we're trying to be as globally diversified as possible. And this other one, which is the other global fund, which is the FTSE Global All Cap, which is one that we think is great as well. That didn't actually exist when we started investing, so that's why most of our money is in the other one. But this is a great one, FTSE Global All Cap. Check out our other video that we're going to do about looking more in depth at that fund. And then the other one is the one here, FTSE Developed World ex-UK. Again, we're going to do a video explaining what that is.
And then there are a huge amount of other funds, the Japan fund, the North America fund, the Germany fund. You can see you can get any flavour you want to, which actually makes it quite difficult. You
could see as Alan was scrolling from the bar on the right hand side that we weren't even, half of the way down, exactly. 2/3 of the way down, and there was still more to go.
Then under index and active, you've also got ETFs, which we've spoken about, and ESG funds, which we've spoken about.
We actually did a full video about ESG funds and our opinion on them, so check that one out as well.
So there you go, that's a full guide to those different things. The short answer that we look at is just go for the global index funds. That's where we move on to. If none of this makes sense to you, please watch the entirety of the Rebel Finance School, because we break down all the terms and help people actually understand what to do. If you think you're not an investor yet, you're wrong. You are. You probably have a company pension. You probably have investments. And we need to understand and sort those out. Thank you for tuning in.
See you in the next one.